We think with our eyes, we see what we want to believe. We don't realize a great many layers overlooked, for in our mind a great fabrication deceives. Fouled perception enshrouds deception. It is then we base our principles off attraction. Since inception we cloud reception. The guise, subtraction, brings the lie's reaction. We're as quick to jump ship as we are to board. This is not what we initially expected. Devils disguised as angels, forbeit the image we adored. Fooled by the mermaid singing, alluring, fabricated, perfected. We die in their trap, for lost in our belief. Blindly approach while they encroach in our hearts. We gave it to them, so dare not label them a thief. We tend to forget a sense of layer with all things and multitude of parts. We cling to the belief, downplaying intuition, the risk for the reward, ever compelling. We cast away trust for lust for our own self-created fiction. What comes thereafter, well, that's never foretelling. Much like a gamble, you luck out more often than no. But what we believe, what we see, we need so desperately. Crave like a broke man to hit the jackpot and then go. Broken as a pot, Jack comes out of his box, revealing menacingly. Ideals aside, fixated only on image and presentation. Forget with the sunset befalls dark and fret. We see the light we created, fabricated fixation, realization of imagination. But with the loss of glow comes the shadow and expectations unmet. We are all victims of pleasure. It's only our human nature. It's because of this we know no measure. We reach great lengths to fill the void our desires render. It is why we'll never know true happiness, for we, unable to be satisfied, our desires are limitless, and all things accompanied are gratified. Lust, greed, and of all things we think we need, placed before you just unreachable, though close enough to sell you a dream. Our sense of self recedes as we proceed, slowly as we take pleasure in short-term materialism woven as we tug on its seams. We need a reaction, whether it of our peers for objects we show off in our idiocracy, or in our mind for bliss in substances, for reality in retraction. We want the lie we love so dearly. We treasure the pleasure it accompanies. We feel it's real ever nearly, but after the crash we form in its debris. The more we possess clearly, the less we own of ourselves. With all leaves a mess, for in full scattering we delve into a changing of season undress, deflowering perception. In absence of reason, we prone to deception, craving even, insatiable, unstable, the divine line looking thin, so we tug on the TV cable, rewired, admired from out within. Seemingly incapable of receiving joy's embrace, and a strange stranger, the loss of a figment I thought I'd known. The brighter the light in sight, the further I fall before in this darkened place. The four corners seem to stretch as more room has been shown. With greater understanding comes greater suffering, or perhaps I fall under false pretenses. Still blind vision brings ill mind revisioning. Regardless of perception, interception halts spiritual cleanses. The try for wisdom brings about only foolishness, or rather madness, for in panic and sadness causes frantic reaction. To prevent or prevail over something born out of nothingness, you're fighting thin air for the ghost of satisfaction. Asking questions that need not be answered, need not even ask, though reluctant to accept. All at face value instead, the outlines are blurred, the silhouette wept as the dripping brush of a swept. I feel certain madness descend into my mind, the very journey founded upon a great sadness, in search of a glow of any kind. Understanding of all things, within and without, the joy that clarity brings, the suffering that comes with doubt. An overwhelming collective of emotion, feelings smothered in feels, cast into a raging river tumbling in motion, far beyond the depths overhead to my heels. Forced and misguided unto the great fall ahead, down I go by my own persistence, for soon I'll break within the riverbed. Perhaps then I may lay my head, for in futile try resistance. What I may find I'm not yet sure, I still have much to learn. Perhaps in the bearing of my sleep all will unfold and unblur, or perhaps my inner hatred will breed sulphur, and I'll burn. Is it wrong for me to deny my nature? True to his word and words, the young poet exclaimed, bold to behold for word absurd, though in the end live to his stature. The divine line blurs, he concurs, all he proclaimed. Who am I, he asks, if not a walking, talking brain of the unknown? The winding stomach, sick of the questionable task, the human hurricane storm swarm brew, break on through the fog his mind once shown. clouded still world by distilled misery, before the Dead Sea awaits a great sense of realization. To see the unseen, the hurricane eye opens profusely, open void like the source the kind the mind twirls in fascination. Rumbling, tumbling, stumbling, struck with a great confusion, bolting toward the source. These are the words of a man absent of anything, little more than his mind and the pen that fuels his discourse. A sad realization to have found strength in suffering, weakness in content. Leisure renders redundant a fight for anything. Enduring renders artistic vision with a maddening descent. Tough times make strong men. Here I am not strong but aware. I'm getting sick of asking when, though in vain still fighting, doing what others won't dare. My personal life is in turmoil. The path has been reduced to scattered rubble. So I return to the roots of my nature, lost in infertile dry soil. The others water down so severe that they grow living smothered in bubbles. I burst through the surface in search of heaven's rain. I sprout from a void of doubt and twisted growing pains. I search far beyond what's presented in this plane. I escape these damned weeds, from whom the complacent plants are drained. Not me, I'd rather suffer than be depraved of my will, isolated and separated for a thirst of something tranquil. I lay in this cursed flower bed, pillow under head, dreaming still, of an empty plain to sustain myself, I'll chase to fulfill. Red scattering sun, shotted rays pierce through the forsaken land, a desolate world undone. This is my world where nothing is at hand. Clouded grey and showering rain, tears fall alongside a staggering glow, fake smile but the pupils are black and plain. Much like this abyss my soul has come to know. Metaphor, metaphor, metaphor. I mock myself in my own writing. Of all that came before, what's more? Is it even worth citing? I see to no avail my efforts. Is it even worth the pursuit? Through by my roots, breaching through dirt, and yet still I bear no fruits. I don't enjoy writing on depression. I hate the idea of it. Sometimes it's necessary only for the sake of expression, though felt more often than I myself will admit. I excel in isolation in regards to my writing, but of all else perhaps a form of self-damnation, as though my heart and soul igniting. I often feel no one understands me, or perhaps I'm out of touch. Perhaps they don't see clearly, or I feel too much. Perhaps I was born in the wrong decade. I feel a great disconnect. Perhaps my bloodline was delayed, or someone had yet to press inject. I fail to see purpose, or understand all around me. I often feel loneliness, even when my closest accompany. I find I only ever ask, but never am I answered. I try better my grasp, but then all is just further blurred. Everyone else seems to have life figured out, or perhaps comfortable in confusion. Maybe they never wonder what life's all about, or maybe they're aware and don't care for conclusion. Either way I feel I'm the only of my mind, frustrating and a burden. I just don't know how to switch off and smile. I can't be like everyone else and there's no other of my kind. I hope for my sake I'm wrong, or at the very least I can learn the art of denial. Is any of this applicable to you, or do I isolate myself further with just mere words? Do you also long to break through, or perhaps my way of thought to you is merely absurd? Who am I talking to? Who do I write this for? Am I getting through to you? If only I knew. Perhaps I'm perceived as a mere bore. Does any of this make sense? Has my wish already been met? Enough of the suspense. How soon to beget? Realization of the unknown. Have I lost myself already? When will the secrets of life be shown? The process seems ever so steady. And you, why are you still here, if not founded upon interest? Am I perhaps unclear as I fade into the mist? Is this to myself then, or someone else maybe? I'm sick of asking when will this serve a purpose of clarity. I'm simply just writing, running with my many thoughts. Perhaps you hear my reciting, whatever method media to you is brought. This poem is no concept, but surely raises curiosity. The lines I long to intercept, to bring about great mystery. The beauty of understanding, the dream I sought, to be brought before everything, far beyond the principles taught. The man with these ideals, I oversee to overtake, far beyond the orchestrated fields, I gravely forsake. To be individual still, to maintain understanding, all falls slowly still, I feel above everything. Nothing is true, everything is permitted, until I've broken through the woven bind society knitted. Freedom I seek, knowledge I gain, some label a freak, merely I hope to attain, far beyond all that came before, here I stand, a man unaware of all in store, for all out of hand. To live a life of disbelief, still I chase, beyond the grief, life I deface. The model standing emotionless, a stick man fixated on disorder, far beyond the nothingness, met with constant blur. I paint a portrait, an idea beyond reason, and as I sit before the embodiment of sin, I ask of pleasure, understanding of everything, for there's no measure far beyond anything, of context and reasoning, ancient text decrypting all it brings. Therefore I question dearly my current stance, ever so nearly, for sincerity in glance. Angel eyes fixated on heavenly bliss, before the wanton skies, violent guise for the devil's abyss. Fallen into confusion, still I partake, before the illusion, the mind my kind forsake. What's more, what's less, all before constant stress. What's life, what's death, what's strife, for in dying breath, to pursue in a dream of all I once knew, knotted in a woven stream, premature, desolate, all a blur, desperate, to act or to act upon reasoning, forsake the foregone pact before the divine line stage screening. Spectator, obliterator of all, incinerator, whom do we call to fall beyond comprehension, the broken bond before the great dissension? I don't know, still I proceed, myself of the flow, till the tides recede. To come of understanding is to neglect of tainted happiness. Blissful ignorance fades the lies before the border of realization. To cross willingly into the desolate abyss, unknowing of anything but much exceeds imagination. Why ponder on these thoughts and chase for new direction? Why not go with the flow where the current subsides? It brings forth smooth sailing, just to drift in crystalline ocean. To break or break away, high or low, is the question of the tides. To battle through a storm to reach your destination is far more fulfilling than drifting idly by. To find land with a beauty far beyond fascination, wherein your heart's desires lie. To settle and anchor merely afloat on still water, to limit direction, exploration of the unknown. You can stay and ponder if your current will deter, or face the storm head on until foregone all before for more in store over yonder wonder is shown. Prophetic words, wisdom's embrace, knowledge holds me and she, before me face to face, whispers divine lines angelically. Still too naive to interpret, I lean into confusion, the dense walls of reality split, the empty halls presented displace illusion. Am I not yet worthy, or perhaps too foolish? All these things I long to see, perhaps in mortality too ghoulish. Do these words mean anything to you? The surrealism is real. Have I finally broken through, beyond tainted, disdained feels? If I had, then why ask? Unworthiness is of the preface. To start an unfulfilled task, documented from the heart of a defaced place. The body is a temple, of course, unclean, however, the mind of unhinged discourse, self-relinquished to dissever. Whatever came before, what's still to come, until redundant the need to ask any more, until no longer the need to succumb. How can I detest what was always of my life? Sure, it's the fool who takes comfort in succumbing to the faults of their elders. Rather contrary, though overwhelmed and fueled by my strife, seek closure in a bottle, then in full throttle the fields disperse. Ashamed and yet privileged, does this make any sense? The drunken ramblings of a madman unhinged. Perhaps it gives the courage to dispense. Though ironically I'm sober as I write this, a beer waiting to court me. Through to the abyss, the drunken plain, the brain lays, yet the mind plays restlessly. I have two paths laid before me. One leads to progress and mindful gain, with the exception of one drink. Bear in mind I love my court's courtesy insatiably. The other, roam with friends into the unimaginable oblivion's brink. Curious I am truly, either bring a gain to some extent, experience and disciplines meet profusely, but rarely do I hope to learn from a maddening descent. The loss of heart, for the madness partakes. I feel my soul fall apart, still I fall into the trap for my mind's sake. The transfiguration for my soul, a place of fascination, though corruption in whole. I'm lost in my mind, though I find in a craze all the things once confined, burn in a blaze. A sense of divinity, false belief on one's existence, a vague sense of reality, how I try my resistance, a trial and error, fearful to feel all the things I seek to dissever, seemingly unreal. How far am I willing to go? How much am I willing to lose? The principles of life I overthrow, the senseless paths I choose. To follow though in vain, a vague-sided construct, a slow process to insane, ill-thought projections I obstruct. The madman led to disbelief, lost in all I witness, smothered in grief of my sense of hopelessness. Some see beauty, some see arrogance, some see art in the misery, others youthful dissipience. What of the poet? What does he feel they never ask? Hurting but he won't show it, merely writes insightful dialect as is the task. I long to be a poet dearly, merely I long for understanding. I feel as though I'm there nearly, but there are those who solely sought for monetary branding. Foolish, I long to break through. I desire to see, to take you to a place of otherworldly incompliancy. Forget what you're told, forsake all they've shown, bold to behold all beyond you've ever known. I seek death, life, destruction, and blessing of all things ever met. Perhaps in life overstressing, the undressing of the guise before angel eyes to realize the sunrise before the sunset. What is love, desire, and freedom? What is anything established? What is a king of no kingdom, a life born already vanquished? Why are you here? Why am I? What is fear? What is living if prepped only to die? What is reason? What is law? What is treason? Betrayal of all the fallacy met before. I simply ask based on fear and curiosity, reality defaced, accustomed to mere atrocity. I've none to lose. What of you? The path in life you choose, but will you follow through?